Alright, well, since I really have no idea what to do for my first vlog, I thought I'd start by a critical rendition of Sleeping Beauty. In a faraway land, long ago, King Stephen and his fair queen wished for a child. Which was fair, not great, not bad, fair. At last a daughter was born, and they named her Aurora. To honor the baby princess, the king held a giant feast. Nobles and peasants, knights and their ladies, everyone flocked joyfully to the castle. King Stephen welcomed his good friend King Hubert to the feast. King Hubert had brought his young son Philip with him. The kings agreed that someday Philip and Aurora would be married, because that's not creepy at all. Among the guests were three good fairies, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. Each of these magic beings wished to bless the infant with a gift. Waving her wand, Flora chanted, "My gift shall be the gift of beauty." "My gift," said Fauna, "shall be the gift of song." Merryweather's turn was next, but before she could speak, the castle doors flew open. Lightning flashed, thunder rumbled. A tiny flame appeared and grew quickly into the form of the evil fairy Maleficent. Her pet black raven was perched on her shoulder. Maleficent was furious, for she hadn't been invited to the feast, which really doesn't strike me as surprising. Now she took revenge. "I too shall bestow a gift on the child," she said with a sneer. "The princess shall indeed grow in grace and beauty, but before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she shall prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die." With a cruel laugh, the evil fairy vanished. Everyone in the room was grief-stricken. But Merryweather still had a gift to give, and she tried to undo Maleficent's curse. She said to the infant, "If through this wicked witch's trick a spindle should your finger prick, not in death, but just in sleep, the fateful prophecy you'll keep. And from this slumber you shall wake, with true love's kiss the spell shall break." Which, granted, she didn't have to make it rhyme. It might have been a little bit more effective, but, you got your magic rules. King Stephen ordered that every spinning wheel in the land be burned. But he still feared the evil fairy's curse, so the good fairies hatched a plan. They would take Aurora to live with them deep in the woods, safe from Maleficent. The king and queen agreed, which really is a stupid, stupid plan. They had 16 years before she was destined to do this. They could have raised her themselves. I think it's just bad parenting. They watched with heavy hearts as the fairies hurried from the castle carrying the baby princess. Because again, they have to hurry because they really only have 16 years. It's like right down to the wire. To guard their secret, the fairies disguised themselves as peasant women and changed Aurora's name to Briar Rose. The years passed quietly, and Briar Rose grew into a beautiful young woman. At last the princess reached her 16th birthday, which is really the only time they really needed to worry, and they're kind of letting their guard down. Planning a surprise, the fairies sent her out to pick berries, all by herself because really, like I said, this is her vulnerable time. Fauna baked a cake for her, while Flora and Merryweather sewed her a new gown. In a mossy glen, Briar Rose danced and sang with her friends, the birds and animals, which again, isn't it all creepy? She told them of her beautiful dream about meeting a tall, handsome stranger and falling in love, and possibly getting medication for her schizophrenic delusions. A handsome young man came riding by. When he heard Briar Rose singing, he jumped from his horse and hid in the bushes to watch her. Then he reached out to take her hand. Briar Rose was startled. "I didn't mean to frighten you," the young man said. "But don't you remember? We've met before." They had met, once upon a dream. Again, really creepy that he would notice. 16 years have passed, she was an infant, yet he's pulling this line on her. Anyway, Briar Rose felt very happy. She and her admirer gazed into each other's eyes. The young man didn't know she was Princess Aurora. Wait a second. I thought it just... Oh, he was just like some sort of stalky come on. Anyway. But she didn't know he was Prince Philip, to whom she had been promised in marriage many years before. Back at the cottage, the fairies gave Briar Rose her birthday surprises. Then Briar Rose told them that she had fallen in love. "Oh no," they cried, because really that's the worst thing that could happen. They told her the truth at last, that she was a princess betrothed at birth to a prince. Now it was time for her to return home. So poor Aurora was led away, longing for her handsome stranger. They kept her in the woods, isolated, for 16 years. And when she reached the point that the curse was actually scheduled to happen, that's when they return her. I don't get it. I mean, they're fairies. They're not supposed to be retarded, but I guess that's what fairy means back then. Maleficent's raven, perched on the chimney of the cottage, had heard everything. It flew off to warn Maleficent that the princess was finally returning to her rightful home. Maleficent sped to the castle. There, using her evil powers, she lured Aurora to a high tower. In the tiny room, a spinning wheel suddenly appeared. "Touch the spindle," hissed Maleficent. "Touch it, I say!" "Simmer down, Maleficent." The three good fairies rushed to the rescue, but they were too late. Aurora had touched the sharp spindle and instantly fallen into a deep sleep. Maleficent's cruel curse had come true. With a harsh laugh, the evil fairy vanished. The good fairies wept bitterly. Bitterly! They were bitter. The whole thing bitter. 16 years wasted. Bitter. Poor King Stephen and the Queen," said Fauna. "They'll be heartbroken when they find out," said Merryweather. "They're not going to," said Flora, who is also seemingly a genius. "We'll put them all to sleep until Briar Rose awakens." So, because the princess fell asleep, these three good fairies decided to put everyone in the kingdom into a coma for possibly forever. So the three fairies flew back and forth, casting a dreamlike spell over everyone in the castle. Meanwhile, Maleficent had captured Philip and chained him deep in her dungeon. But the good fairies had other plans. Using their magic, they melted the chains. They armed the prince with the shield of virtue and the sword of truth. This is so elaborate. Then they sent him racing to the castle to awaken the princess. When the evil fairy saw Philip escaping, she hurled heavy boulders at him. But the brave prince rode on. When Philip reached Aurora's castle, Maleficent caused a forest of thorns to grow all around it. Philip hacked the thorns aside with his powerful sword. In a rage, the evil fairy soared to the top of the highest tower. There she changed into a monstrous dragon. Personally, I'd have led with the dragon, but, "Now shall you deal with me, O prince," she shrieked. I don't know if you could really shriek that sentence, but Maleficent breathed huge waves of flame. Philip ducked behind his strong shield. Thunder cracked. Flames roared around him. The prince fought bravely. Guided by the good fairies, he flung his sword straight as an arrow. It buried itself deep in the dragon's evil heart, and the beast fell to its death. Maleficent was no more. Philip raced to the tower where his love lay sleeping. Gently he kissed her. Aurora's eyes slowly opened. I hope he knew that was going to happen, otherwise it's still kind of rapey. Now everyone was awake. The king and queen were overjoyed to see their daughter again, and wedding plans were soon made. The good fairies were blissful too, and it all ended just the way as it should, despite their screwing everything up. Happily ever after. And that's my vlog. Thank you, and play nice.